Takes everything you've got. Taking a break from all your worries sure would help a lot. Wouldn't you like to get away? Sometimes you wanna go where everybody knows your name, and they're always glad you came. You wanna be where you can see the troubles are all the same. You wanna be where everybody knows your name. You wanna go where people know people are all the same. You wanna go where everybody knows your name.
And welcome to another 12 o'clock show with Mayor Joe. And joining me is, well, everybody knows his name. We've got Bob here. How are we doing?
Well, not too bad, not too bad. Thanks for inviting me, Joe.
Thanks for coming out today. We've got a jam-packed show as always. Got a couple of cool announcements later on, but as always, we're going to start off with code enforcement. So I've got some good pictures for
favorite
today.
subject.
Oh, it can be. So we got a couple of things here. So this one, obviously, you can see a little shed needed some work. So after some code enforcement work, then there you go. You can see a brand new shed. So that kind of gives you an idea of what we're talking about when we're taking care of our community. We also have over here a parking lot. You can see where we've got a lot of vegetation growth in the area that needed to be taken care of. And believe it or not, code enforcement is not that difficult. We get some of our commercial areas cleaned up. So again, you're looking here, another parking lot area that's kind of run down. We need some of that to be cleaned up. So they actually will go out and, believe it or not, we can get some of that paving done. Get it all marked up so that way everybody gets cleaned up all the way. Got a couple of these examples. Again, you can start to see some of the potholes, some of the distress areas on the asphalt. And again, there we go. This is, again, more commercial businesses that are in Reynoldsburg that are cleaning up their properties with the ever so kind encouragement of our code enforcement officers. We actually brought on an additional code enforcement officer this week because obviously we have plenty of work for them to do to go out there and make sure that we're taking care of our commercial and residential properties. Only got a few more, I promise. Again, you can kind of see it's not that bad, but then when you look at the after pictures, again, you're seeing a big difference in how everything looks. Much more clean, streamlined all the way across. This is one of our businesses over off of Livingston. Again, you can kind of see here some of the distressed area up in the top corner. Little bit of paint, little bit of power wash, and then all of a sudden everything kind of cleans right up. And again, that just makes it more attractive. So if there's openings in those particular facilities for new rentals, new businesses to come in, it's just a little bit prettier to look at. And again, it's part of our commitment here in Reynoldsburg to go ahead and make sure that we get all of those things taken care of. One other good piece of news is we do have a date for our code enforcement town hall. We're actually going to have, as of right now, we're going to have it live here at City Hall on September 30th. We'll have to do some social distancing within, so it may be limited capacity within City Hall, but we'll broadcast it. We're going to have our code enforcers on. We may even have our service director on to talk about it. But we're also going to be providing you a couple of clues as the seasons are changing. People might have questions. What do we do about our trees? What do we do with the leaves that come down? There have been a number of complaints. If you remember earlier in the year, we had some flooding issues, especially off of white butterfly, roundelay, things of that nature. One of the things that we're finding is that some of our storm sewers are getting full of tree leaves. And so if they're getting full with those things, then that can actually hurt the flow of water, so that might be part of it. So we'll talk about that, and then we'll get ready for the dreaded snow word that's coming on that may be up there as well. A couple of events coming up. We do have a big farmers market. It is tomorrow. This is the last one. The last farmers market from 4 to 7 at JFK. It's your last opportunity to get a cake pop or some fresh vegetables. We also have, I think, Great Harvest will be there, and their cinnamon bread. Not that I'm going to eat all of it. I could really just sit and just kind of eat it like popcorn, but that's not the best thing for me. So we have that going on. So hopefully you can make it out for the last one. I'm sure we'll have a winter's market at certain points as the weather chills a little bit, but we've got that. So now we're going to turn off. Bob, welcome. Again,
Thank
I'm
you.
very
Thank you
happy
so
that
much.
you're able to make it. We're going to try and open this up to not just city officials and politicians. We're going to try and talk to some of our small businesses. And really, when we're talking about Reynoldsburg and we're talking about small business, there really is no other place to start. So
Well,
First-
Vicks.
First of all, let's just go with family and COVID. I mean, how are you all dealing with all of this?
It's been a tough road. I mean, honestly, thank God for some of the government relief grants that were coming in. The one that Reynoldsburg just put forward. Mom is at the attorney or the accountant today filling that out. But when there's so many events that take place during the summer, like your charity walks and your vacation Bible schools and your soccer leagues and your volleyball leagues and your baseball leagues, and when you throw all that out the door, well, there's just no business. Thank God for my business community that has stepped up and helped support me big time and keeping the doors open and along that line. J.C. Penney is starting to call me about some stuff. AMD Medicom, of course, R&W Excavating, Ron, he's been wonderful. And believe it or not, Varsity Jackets, my community has stepped up big time. Maybe knowing that things are a little slow, they've come in and started buying that high-ticket item for their kids. You yourself for your
son. I'm very proud of my son to get the varsity jacket, and then I saw the price, and I'm like, wow, this is the best jacket ever. But when we actually got the jacket in,
they are works of art.
Yeah, it's really, and for my son, who typically is not the most emotional person, you can see that that he had that pride on it. So we actually got our senior pictures done about 2.5 weeks ago, and that varsity jacket was right there. We had a chance to get some pictures by a pool, and the jacket did not get anywhere near the water. Got close, but not near the water. Giving everybody a little bit of a heartache. So outside of the jacket, is that what are the other best sellers? I mean, I'm sure you've been here obviously a long time.
Right now, tri-blend T-shirts are doing great. Just that softer feel that the ladies like, and they're made into women's cuts and stuff. So a lot of the ladies have been coming and getting they're ready now that they're allowed to come go to see their kids play football or soccer. Whatever, they're coming in, ordering the T-shirts. Hoodies are always a big thing. Even when the kids weren't allowed to wear them in school per se, hoodies have never wavered at all. Ball caps, people love their ball caps, But just the standards that have been around there, forever. Your T-shirts, your hoodies, the tri-blend's a nice blend. The moisture wicking stuff is always very popular right now. And the baseball style shirts are starting to come back. Women are liking that because some of those are made in the women's cuts now. And, of course, as the weather turns here, jackets, pullovers, and stuff will start taking over. But right now, I think it's a relief to a lot of the parents that the kids are going to be able to go out and have things like football, marching band, soccer, cross country, all the great sports, tennis. Les has a fantastic girls tennis team this year. The girls soccer girls were in dropping off one of the posters and stuff. The boys soccer. One of the kids was like, well, I'm going to go get you one of my posters too, because the kids love coming in and looking at the Wall of Fame and seeing their pictures. I mean, God, like 48 years of photos on the wall there of kids and stuff over the years here in Reynoldsburg. So I get some folks in that are now bringing their own kids in that graduated from Reynoldsburg that are like, oh, look, mommy's picture's on the wall over here and stuff like that, and they get a big kick out of that. So.
Yeah, sometimes kids have a hard understanding that their parents were once teenagers too. It's crazy that actually goes through.
Well, that's why I like, even my brother still has his varsity jacket. But the women especially, I said, man, get your varsity jacket and keep good care of it, because when your kids get to a point that all they ever thought you were was mom, then you can get there and just pull that jacket out and say, listen, I was somebody. I was better than you, and you better get your game on.
Absolutely. I'm loving that. It's a great facility. I like going down there. I know we're going to be doing some improvements to the Main Street area in the not too distant future. So we're, expanding those sidewalks. So I could easily imagine that, sometime next year when the traffic is all taken care of and the construction's done, I mean, I could easily see, pulling out some of those shirts and having like that sidewalk sale, that ability where people can walk up and down.
Definitely. I mean, the sidewalk sale is so important. The beautification of the front of my store, and I need to do some work there. I have been a little lax. But again, Christmas is coming up, so I'm going to decorate for Christmas this year, so the blue paper will be eliminated for a little while. And then, of course, we had the kids from the, I think it was the East End program, wanting to come out and do a beautification project. They want to basically contact local businesses that might need help sprucing or beautifying their areas, and then like painting the windows or whatever. And I was so proud that the kids contacted me first, and they were getting ready to come over and show me the plan they had, but then COVID hit. So I'm hoping maybe after Christmas we can get that going again to get them to come out there and show some local talent out there. The kids are great in this town. So,
No, the artistic. I mean, we finally had the opportunity to bring in some art from kids in some of the elementary schools, and we're not talking even the high school artists that came in, and they still could do so much better than I can. I can do a stick figure, and it's not a very good one, but that's about the extent. But these kids, some of the things that I've seen at art shows, at the elementary level, and some of the things I've seen at the high school level are just absolutely phenomenal.
Well, even the posters for the T-shirt contest they have for Clean Up Reynoldsburg.
Yeah.
The kids for years, Mary Hudson would bring down all these posters, and Mary Burchin would bring them down, and we got to pick out which ones. Now, I had the biggest windows in town, so you didn't see the blue paper because I had all these posters, some wonderful art for Clean Up Reynoldsburg, and I would just hang all over my windows so the kids can be kind of drive by and go, hey, that's mine, and get a little feather in their cap. But it's so great to showcase the talent that we have here in town, and the kids do such wonderful jobs on those posters. So yeah, I put them up inside and outside during that time of year. And then of course you don't see the blue paper during years like last year, because any politician that runs for office is more than welcome to come put a sign in the window. It's it's a way of community service to let people know who's running for what different offices around town.
Well, it's especially with as every election tends to be the most important election ever. It's always good to have that kind of an approach. That it's just this is a good thing for community involvement all the way around. I know not the first time I was in your store, but I know one of the times that I was in your store. And the first real purchase I had for me, not for my kids, was one of the purple Raider hats. And I think I got this probably just before I started getting on the school board, and so I still wear that hat every single Friday night.
They're great products.
We got the more fashionable black hat with the purple lettering, but I still go with the purple hat at the Raider football games just because of the tradition. And I'm just as superstitious as everybody else out there when it comes out. I don't want to mess anything up. So
I think you were on the board when my brother Chip was on the board.
Just after.
Just right after.
Yeah. Well, we have do we have any questions that are out there for Bob or for myself?
Yeah, we do have one from Mr. Sisak. He wants to know if you think the Raider youth coats with the graduation year are ever coming back.
The biggest problem is the manufacturer that used to make that coat went out of business. It was up there in Indian Lake. Great manufacturer called Gem Sportswear. But when Cornelius passed away, he left the factory to his workers, and they sold off them and took the money. So it's really hard to find that purple and gold old style baseball jacket. But I'm looking, so I am looking. I mean, yes, we still have some of the ones like those sweatshirt lined ones that we can put Raiders on the back and put the graduation year. But that old baseball style was the best seller we had for probably 20 years. And when Gem went out of business, it just broke our heart.
Now, didn't for the Tomato Festival Queen? Wasn't there something that the Tomato Festival Queens also got as well? Around that
well,
time?
we used to donate the trophy every year, but no one approached us this year or 2 years ago about the trophy. So I'm sure you had better sponsorship. But yeah, our trophy was always the girls would. I mean, it stood about this tall, and it was bigger than some of the girls. And when we tried to cut it down a little smaller. The girls were the first one that squawked because some of them had, sisters or aunts and that had won it, and they wanted that big 5-foot trophy. That was part of winning the festival. So, then we always donated a jacket and we still do for the little princess.
Yeah.
And we did one for the youth boy too, and those are just basic. We get a nylon jacket and we put the Reynoldsburg Tomato Festival. We have a nice logo we put on the front, and we do the back with a crown and everything. It's really a nice jacket, and the kids really are proud of them. So basically, I know the Prince was the first year for us to do the Prince, but great.
Well,
Boy should be represented too.
We're looking forward to bringing the Tomato Festival back next year. I know.
I was looking forward to it this year. That was fantastic.
Tell me about it. I thought last year was such a great.
Jenny did such a wonderful job with that. And that's for someone who's been there and who sat in that seat and run the festival back when it was the old festival. Then we tried to make a go of it when the old festival went bankrupt. To see what she accomplished in 1 year, I mean, taking that year off and coming back the way she did, that was one of the funnest, best attended, great entertainment. I mean, what a way to showcase it.
Absolutely.
And she did a fantastic job.
Looking forward to it. Any other questions before we kind of?
Not right now.
All right, so you're more than welcome. I'd love it if you could stick around for a little while so we can kind of talk about a couple of other things coming up. But we do have some good news.
I should mention that we do have face masks at Ohio Select.
There you go.
We got them for all the local schools. And we also have the silly ones like this because, you gotta laugh at life sometimes. So, but stop on down. I also do them for local businesses, different bars and places like that need them when they're requiring them. So I've done them for a few places around town, and stop on and see. They're not a bad price point, and they're a great mask. My wife loves hers, and she's picky. So.
And unfortunately, the masks aren't going away anytime.
No. It's going to be a way of life, people.
So, well, a couple of good things. We do have our fall sports program. We know we have adult kickball, but I believe youth soccer is on its way, and we're actually going to get that going if the practices haven't already started. It's the state of Ohio gave us a rather large book of rules and requirements that we had to follow, but we felt at the city, not to brag a little bit, but there aren't a lot of cities out there that have brought their fall programs back. Some private clubs have done it, but for the rec programs, not a lot of cities have. But we talked with Donna Bauman, the Parks and Rec director, and we decided that we need to do this. We need to bring this back. We need to give the kids an
You got
opportunity.
Donna, too.
Yeah.
That girl's a ball of energy.
Yes, she is.
So,
Yep.
and she's smart as a whip. So, yeah, I like Donna a lot. I've known her for years. And, yeah, so you got the right person in charge there to make this happen because there's nobody who loves the kids in Reynoldsburg more than that lady.
Oh, yeah. She's between the farmer's market, trying to get that adapted out, and then with everything else. And we keep joking, eventually next year we're going to double our enthusiasm for all the things we didn't get a chance to do this year. So, but at least fall soccer's there. If we're looking for winter sports yet, we're still not sure exactly. We still hope to have our traditional winter sports. I know my son typically plays, my youngest son Alex plays basketball. I know he's looking forward to that type of thing. So we'll just have to wait and see as we get a little bit closer. Now the big fun news of the day. Apparently, there's always a little bit of chatter around the time the water bills are due about the fees that are attached to it. So what we've done is, for those of you that don't know, the city of Reynoldsburg gets our water from the city of Columbus. And so when Columbus raises their water rates, we typically have to raise ours to match with it. And then usually there's a little additional onto it for our storms and sewers and things of that nature. So if you pay your bill and you come into City Hall and pay your water bill, there's no problems. If you drop it off in the mailbox, there's no problems. If you go onto your bill pay on your own bank account, then there's no fees. But one of the big concerns has been the fees that come on with online bill paying. So we've seen these kind of concerns, comments coming up. So we're actually going through our contract with the company, and we have a meeting with them actually, I believe, next week to talk about how we can find a way to save a little bit of money for the constituents out there. So you're not spending a lot. It's money that doesn't go to the city. This is their service fee that they tack on for the privilege and use of the internet to pay the bills. So we are working with that to kind of reevaluate some things. It seems that the company that we use has purchased a few other ones, so there's going to be some cost savings from their point of view. Always the easiest thing to do is to drop it off in the mailbox or come to City Hall and pay there, but that's something that is happening. So I have heard social media, we have talked about that, and we are going through to kind of make that a better deal for the residents of Reynoldsburg. So I hope to have more news with that as the next couple of weeks move on. The next big one is our roads update. We have one more additional meeting set for tomorrow to kind of finalize the potential for what roads are going to be looked at for next year. Hopefully when that happens, we'll be able to put some legislation out so everybody will be able to see what's on tap for next year. The biggest one is out there, and you probably already noticed on Main Street already. Next year, all of Main Street is getting redone, and it's the Ohio Department of Transportation that's out there right now working on the curbs and things like that in the gutters all the way throughout Main Street. It's not going to be a fun time next year on Main Street, and it's really not going to be fun for where he's at. But we don't want to talk about that.
We've been through it before, though.
Yeah, so we know.
Parking in the back.
There we go. There we go. Parking in the back, parking over it, just a little bit down the road. There is parking there. We'll make sure and direct it.
If you park over on Lancaster, you can stop by Prost or Tempe Taco, have a drink in between the trip. It makes it easy.
I think that's probably not the best idea there. So Main Street's going to be done, so we know that's going to be out there. We also have a couple of other projects. We're trying to get different residential roads. Our engineering company has basically given us an idea of what legitimately are the worst roads in Reynoldsburg, and so what we try to do is get a little bit of each area of Reynoldsburg, depending on how our budget is. We're hopeful that we can work with our new service director in a lot of ways to kind of maximize those dollars so we can hit some of these areas. But what we're going to do is we're going to make sure that that's up and out there. You can actually see what was done this year on our city website. You go to the street department page and you'll actually see what roads are being worked on right now. Davidson is done, Taylor is done. They're still working on some of the residential streets right now, so they should be wrapping up relatively soon. But you'll be able to see what we're doing next year, hopefully after council approves, and then we're going to try and let everybody know that what the next ones up are. So we know what, we have an idea of what's going to happen next year, but we're going to let people know maybe 2 or 3 years down the road that unless something strange happens, these are when we're looking to do the next set of roads. We're trying to maximize the dollars that we get from the YMCA passage when that went in, the additional income tax that came in to help take care of our roads. So we're trying to, again, hit that around 4 million, 3 to 4 million, depending on the year, as far as all of that goes to fix all the roads in Reynoldsburg. Bill Dorman is actually our new service director. I don't know if you've had a chance to meet with him at all or talk with him. So he's actually doing a couple of different things. We're actually going to be dedicating a little bit of money to preventative maintenance on some of our roads. So if you take our roads that were worked on, let's say between 5 to 15 years, maybe they need a little bit of tender loving care in certain things, but it's not that bad. And then those roads maybe in that 15 to 20 year range. So what we want to do is kind of work on the maintenance aspect of it, so that way the roads will last a little bit longer than they had in the past. So those are things that we're working on. So hopefully we'll have some good news for that in the next few weeks as far as our roads program. But believe me, we know your roads are out there, and then we'll try and make sure we get as many updated as we can. Personal thing out there, I have been in contact with the representatives of Senator Portman, Congressman Stivers, Congresswoman Joyce Beatty, Senator Sherrod Brown, all about the amount of federal relief. The businesses have gotten some money, cities have gotten COVID money, which is why we're doing the small business grant. What we're hoping is that those in Washington, D.C. see the wisdom of allowing a little bit more flexibility in the city for some of the funds that they have given us. And if we are able to do so, we hope to actually do some of the roads we're thinking of for next year this year, because we have that kind of money in our CARES accounts, and that's assuming that we are allowed to do that. And then hopefully if the federal government provides a little bit more access to it for that part, it would be a great thing to kind of get a head start on some of those roads programs.
Especially Main Street being a national road, there's
Yes.
so much more than just Reynoldsburg saying, let's throw down some asphalt.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's digging a lot of things out and hitting some of those, the one thing I know when I was walking around last year is you would have, the main drag of something done, but then you look at the courts on the side and nothing would be done. So I think we're definitely going to try and change that up a little bit and hit some of
Do
those.
it kind of like in section, take care of everything, within so much miles, bring it all in together,
Yep.
so it's done like that. It's just like the area, I'm sure when they do the area there by old Reynoldsburg, I know they've already been down looking at that roadway behind my office,
Yep.
which is like going up Pork Chop Hill.
Yep.
So I know that the plan is to have that all paved and pave everything behind, and which I think is long overdue, and that the city's stepping forward to make that move instead of leaving it up to the individual landowners. I think it's the best way to do it.
Yeah, we've got
that way it gets taken care of, and instead of one time instead of in sections.
Because the hope is eventually to have that entire Old Town area, have a lot more walkability, have a little bit more storefront. But the reality is you need to have a little bit of parking with it. And if you have, as you say, Pork Chop Hill, if you have a lot of that up and down and bouncing and things like that, not everybody wants to drive down there. So, I mean, that's obviously something, because, again, once Main Street is taken care of, you have those additional sidewalks.
Yes, we have parking in the back, but you need a four-wheel drive vehicle
to get there.
to it.
And occasionally a tow truck after the fact. So we're working on that. We also have some good news on census. Every time I look at it, we are getting higher numbers than we expected. We're actually at 75.1%. Just to keep in mind, we're really moving. We're adding about 1/10% or 0.2% a day at this point, which is great. Obviously, that helps us when we look at representation, when we look at funding from the
so
state.
important.
All the way.
People don't realize, it's if you don't have the proper numbers, and you're not turning in your census, you're not going to get the grants and the road improvements and the better school money and everything else that you want, because they don't realize that, okay, 70% of Sunday, that means 30% of you, they don't know you're here.
Yep.
And so they don't give you extra money for the people that don't report. So the census is so important. I mean, even when we were young, our parents taught us how important the census was. So I filled mine out.
Okay.
First day I got it,
He stole my question. We're still very much ahead of that town on the other side of 256. We're gaining on Gehanna, just because we are. The city of Columbus, they crossed over to the 61%, so they're still trying really hard. And we are gaining on that state up north. We're actually under a 1%. We're at 69.1, and that state up north is at 70%. So we are closing the gap on that one. So we want to make sure this might be the only fight between Ohio State and Michigan this year. So we want to make sure that we really push hard to get those census numbers up. So I appreciate that you've done it. I know that everybody that I've talked to has. So for those of you out there watching, if you haven't done it yet, please do so. And if you have done it, make sure you go ahead and hashtag Census 2020, spread the word, make sure your friends and neighbors and family all kind of go ahead and fill that out as well. Do we have any questions so far on anything?
Yeah, actually, one just came in. I was trying to read through it. It's from Tamara Watkins. It says, I've lived in my house for 21 years, and the drainage easement in our subdivision has never been cleaned out or maintained, and vegetation and debris have built up, impacting the flow of the subdivision water, drainage, runoff, especially in heavy rain, similar to what caused the flooding on Main Street. And the water came very close to our home, which shouldn't happen. How can we get this addressed?
Easy. Send us you can private message the city, because you don't want to put your email or your actual address on Facebook, but send us a message at the city, either through the Facebook Messenger app, or you can give us a call at City Hall so we can kind of get an idea of where you live, what's been done in the area, what can be done to fix it. I know earlier, especially when we had those big rains in March, when there was the flood and plague version of everything Reynoldsburg, right around that time, I know I went out to a number of different houses to see what the issue was. And a lot of it is, some of it is simple. Like I said, cleaning the debris out of the drainage area. Others of it is, the increased waterfall that we're getting with those kind of torrential rains. A lot of it is infrastructure that was designed for 1970s water tables, and we're just not in that world anymore. So there are some options there, but got to start off with the address, and then we can go out. I know, again, Bill Dorman, our service director, and we've gone out and visited a number of houses. He was actually just out on Palmer Road yesterday working on a couple of things to get things taken care of. So just let us know. And then we can work with it that way. So that's a great question.
Thank Ms. Watkins, because if you don't know there's a problem there, you don't know to go out and to address it.
Absolutely.
So it's so great that she reports, and other people, this is a very open man here and a very open administration. You've got issues, call, let somebody know. Yep. I'm sure they'll be more than glad. They don't want unhappy citizens. They want to get reelected. So
his words, not mine. Just let us know, because that is, if we don't know that there's an issue, then we're going to assume everything is okay. So that is a great point to let us know. There are plenty of people in Reynoldsburg that are happy to let us know what's going wrong. Just sometimes we don't always hear about it. So we do appreciate that. Again, you mentioned the election and all of that. Please remember, if you're not registered to vote, you have plenty of time. The election is coming up in the not too distant future. You can request your absentee ballot. I know we got our applications in I think, in the House the other day.
Got mine yesterday.
I'm one of those people that, I'm going to be standing in line, election day. I want my sticker. It's not that I don't like the mail-in thing. I want the sticker.
I want the coffee and donuts.
Yeah. You get coffee and donuts?
Oh, yeah. They take care of us over at the Senior Center.
All right. All right. Summit campus out there in Licking County, you got to step up your game. Coffee and donuts. I think we're going to have to look at that. So, but again, it's always important to do your civic duty. It doesn't matter necessarily who you're voting for, but the more important thing is to vote. I think you look at around the world as far as voter participation rates, and this is the teacher in me coming out a little bit. It's an easy thing. Most of the time, your vote doesn't take very long. I know out in our area, I think the only reason that I have to wait is because we get in a line at 6 o'clock in the morning. But usually throughout the rest of the day, it's pretty quick. You want to go out and have your voice heard because it is important. Every single election is important. Your city elections, your federal elections, state elections, everything. So
Well,
go out and
I
vote.
tell people I vote because it gives me the right to complain.
There we go.
Because at least I voted.
So there you go. So I don't know, man. I don't know if I can require that on Facebook anymore. If you didn't vote, if you can't complain, it's a charming idea. I'll have to think about that. Well, I do thank everybody for joining us today. Oh, we have another question?
Well,
All right.
it's not a question, but a request. Meredith Lawson Rowe is asking you to remind everyone to sign up for Reynoldsburg Connects.
That's a great thing. Thank you. Reynoldsburg Connects is our email blast system. So when we have some breaking news or just traditional updates, you can actually sign on our webpage at basically Reynoldsburg City webpage, and you can scroll down to the bottom of the page and you can put your email address in and your name in, and you can find out information for everything, special events, parks and rec activities, all of that type of stuff. And so when there's a council meeting, a planning meeting, a BZBA, or if there's certain traffic issues that are coming up, we're hoping that this winter, if there are issues with snowfall and things like that, that we can at least blast those things out there. We're around the 500 and change out there emails. So out of a city of around 40,000+ people, there's only about 500 on there that have actually registered their email. But it's a great way to get updated. Usually what we do is about the middle of the month, you get a big email. It has information from different departments here at City Hall. It has information that if council members want to put some information out there about some things, it's there as well. But it's a great way just to kind of keep up to date. Not just this show, but a lot of things. So thank you, Councilwoman Lawson Rowe. It's a great opportunity, reminder for me to put that out there. So that's a good job. Were there any other questions?
That's it.
All right. Well, our next meeting is going to be on September 9th. We are going to be welcoming Ward 1 City Councilwoman Shanette Strickland. So I know she is looking forward to coming out here. So we'll have her on. And again, Bob, thank you so much for coming out today. I really
Thank you
appreciate
so
it.
much.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for
Don't worry,
having
we
me.
have hand sanitizer. Don't say anything. So
Clean.
there we go. So again, just stay safe, stay respectful, and as always, please put your shopping carts away when you're done with them. So thanks again, and have a great day.